We are 3 weeks from the November election.
Unbelievable.
3 weeks from that, 10 weeks from Christmas. Oy. And you've probably gotten a lot of political robocalls on your phone.
That's right. There's been a rise here in California and also battleground states. These calls are creating concerns now for voters. Data expert John Haraburda is here to talk about how voters can protect themselves from robocall disinformation and scams. Thank you so much for being with us. I have both a work phone and a personal phone, and the robocalls are like inundating my life right now.
And you have a landline.
And I have a landline. Somehow they haven't gotten that number quite yet. But I found it interesting. California actually ranks second in the country for the most political robocalls. So what's your data showing about the rise here and in battleground states?
Yeah, good. Good morning, and thanks for having me. Yeah, it's been quite substantial. We've been tracking robocalls for the last 9 months leading up to the election, and we anticipated a rapid growth post Labor Day, and we've seen that. We've seen actually over the last 2 weeks a doubling of robocall traffic, specifically in California, and driving adoption of voter registration, campaign information, and the like to bring consumers in and to provide information to the voting public. What we've seen is this is big. It's driven. You know, California is the largest state in population. We also see some incredible growth in Wisconsin, Arizona, and Ohio, as an example, driving market share of where these political calls are hitting and trying to get the consumer to participate and share information.
And the scary part there is that some of these robocalls are not always legitimate. So now we need to watch out for those scams. What are the most common type of robocall scams that we're seeing right now?
Yeah, the two predominant ones are looking at either getting campaign donations, right? This is a typical technique. They want to have you come in, contribute to the candidate, and provide that, you know, personal information, including credit card and banking address number, et cetera. The other one that's more interesting that we've seen recently is promotion of voter registration. And there's actually links that are being provided in these messages, giving improper and invalid websites to give your personal information to. So the consumer or the voter may think they're registering, but they actually aren't.
That's terrifying when you think about that. So how can you tell the difference between these scams and legit robocalls?
Well, generally what you see with the legitimate call is the announcement says, I'm candidate A running for office B. It gives you the information that's required. And in many cases, a best case use case scenario is a opt-out program where you can dial a 9 to opt out of further messaging. Having that type of constraint is linked with the TCPA regulations about calling consumers and interfacing with them. The way you can also be tricked is looking at artificial generated calls, which are difficult to see because the technology involved with AI generated voice calls are really hard to determine. And often you need to look at your handset on your mobile device or your landline at home and have identification of potential spam or other notifications that your service providers are giving to the consumer to help give them awareness of this concern and where they should be very careful when they're answering the call.
All right.
Yeah.
Great tips. John, thank you so much for being with us.
My pleasure. Have a great day.
You too.